we get settled down, just a quick thought, something to ponder. Have any of you ever thought why the lights are on at warehouses that are completely run by robots? Have you just thought about that? Like,
They gotta see too.
yeah, like robots don't need to see in the light, but the humans that are working at those facilities do. So just something to ponder when we're thinking about technology and the human element. But I would like my panel to introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Shirley and then just roll on down.
Okay. My name is Shirley Schnapp. I am Vice President of our National Accounts for Care Credit, also Synchrony. We are a portion of Synchrony, which is a global consumer finance organization. I've been in this role for about a year, but 13 years in my career at Care Credit. I'm excited to be here today because my previous role was actually on technology and integrations. I was responsible for bringing to market some innovative products and really trying to integrate the Care Credit features into the practice management software and patient engagement platforms.
Wonderful. Courtney.
Hello everyone, I'm Courtney Adams. I'm the Customer Enablement Manager at RevenueWell. I'm actually local, so I was very excited to be part of this entire program today. I've actually worked with Shirley for the past 5 years, been with RevenueWell for 5 years, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I'm Cassie Allen, CEO and founder of The Fractional Match. Based out of Dallas, work primarily to just fractionally match those that are heavy on the operations side to integrate with both vendors and DSOs, elements that are effective tools to the people element to achieve the goal. So I joked when I got up here, I wore the money-colored jacket today for a reason. As you talk about the people element, it's sometimes easy to say that means you're getting into the soft side of technology combined with the human element. But I think DSOs are moving into a place right now of realizing the money component is necessary to be part of the equation, combined with equipping
Where do you live?
to have a skill set. So pretty exciting.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Cassie, and appreciate the audience participation and the excitement. Come on now. I love the human element, right? That's great. Cassie, I want to start with you in kind of level setting. When we talk about the pursuit of harnessing technology to enhance human capabilities and operations, is it overly complex? Like, how complex is that? And should it really be like, oh my gosh, this is like over the top?
Yeah, I think there's complexity if you haven't looked at the integration level of how the practice runs. Where we're seeing the greatest success for things like, for instance, AI combinations with x-rays and diagnostic is not to just implement a tool and let the doctors know we have greater capability, but to go to the practice level, see their workflow, and then see how you're going to synergize that into the workflow that already exists. So it really is kind of a marriage, so to speak, that makes it work, and it makes it not complex, because you know your end user before you implement.
Sure, yeah. Shirley, I want to ask you this. In the evolving DSO financing landscape, how has Care Credit managed technology integration with people? And can you provide some specific examples, to these type of integrations and functions?
Yes, and so when I started 13 years ago, obviously the landscape was very different from what technology was available. And it was easy for me to go, and I started my journey actually going practice by practice and more of an implementation of third-party financing. And it was so easy for me when I knew that third-party financing was built within a software, because it was the ease of use from the team members. And then it was also a great patient experience, because it basically took that whole journey and kind of made it really feel like more of a concierge. Not logging into various portals. We heard that yesterday, and I was writing that down. I'm like, yes, people don't want 5 different username and passwords. And I remember this time where I walked into a practice and we were talking about one of the practice management software integrations, when she realized that you could actually do the transaction without having to log out and log into the care credit portal. She was high-fiving Rosetta Stone. Oh my God, this is so amazing. And for us, of course, we took that picture and we put it on social media and we're like, this is winning. That's what we strive for. What I think is exciting as we evolve with technology is that there's more options for where patient financing fits into that journey. If you think of where, fast forward, it was more point of sale integrations, and we have such a tremendous opportunity to engage patients before they even go into the practice, because cost is a big barrier, and it will always be a barrier, depending on, the different, situations for people. So you think of the opportunity, and I'm excited, I obviously enjoy being at these events, learning about AI, from Tinley yesterday, or different engagement platforms where the opportunity will continue to rise for the need for people to be able to afford, and not just afford, but make it convenient, right? I think we've evolved. I think when, back 13 years ago, people would say, oh, well, I don't need patient financing, my patients can pay. And so, of course, we're like, okay, sure, your patients all have a lot of money, and they are saying yes to every single comprehensive case that you're presenting. Sure, okay. But I think where we're going today is it's convenience. We talked about it yesterday, Iman was talking about, the Amazon experience. People have money that still continue to pay in monthly payments on Amazon. So I think we're just changing, and I think it's exciting to watch the technology advance.
Do you feel, and this for the group, do you feel the behavior is changing? And how so?
Behavior?
I feel like acceptance, there's more acceptance.
I think there's acceptance, but I think there's also expectation. I think patients expect that when they come for the visit, you're going to maximize their time and respect it, right? Instead of having them come back for a multitude of visits. A lot of times what we're seeing on social media and Google reviews is just a discontentment with the wait time and general process. It took forever to get in my orthodontic appliance. It took forever for my comprehensive exam to get finished. And so what we're talking about today is kind of that streamlined initiative to say, these are the things you can do from kind of a pre-day check, not just end of day check, but before the day begins, solidify the opportunity, maximize the value of the patient's time. I think we talked this morning, even just making it easy to say to the patient, we want to leverage your time the best we can here and maximize the visit for you. They want that, and they're asking for it.
I think it's interesting too, we talked about that in one of our huddles yesterday of the direct scheduling. The office managers that don't want direct scheduling, they don't want anybody interfering with their appointment book, and they're like, no, that's my appointment book, don't you dare put anything on there that I didn't say that it was okay to put on there. But then you look at it from the other lens, and you look at it as a consumer. I want to book online. Mm-hmm. I gravitate, if I go to Google and I'm saying, okay, well, I need to take my kids to get their haircut, where can I book online? I don't want to call. So I think of, we've got to change that mindset for those people that are very anti-integrating to say, this is what the patient expectation is. And it's the patient experience that we have to drive towards. So integrating things like direct scheduling, if it increases, obviously, your appointment book, for the end user to understand, if you didn't have that, there would be holes in that schedule. And holes in the schedule is lost production.
Courtney, maybe you can add, contribute to this, because, describing the human, elements and technology interaction, at Revenue Well, particularly about presenting available credit, patients before scheduling visits, how does that, function? And, I know you have a feature, an auto-sync feature, so you want to just elaborate and discuss that?
Absolutely. So the unique part of my role at Revenue Well is for the first 4 years, I was the training manager, so everything was internal. And when I came to Revenue Well, I had absolutely no dental experience. I had come from a different career, but my brother-in-law has his own dental practice in Chicago, and my mother-in-law is a dental office manager in the suburbs. So I had a little bit of a sounding board when I started there. So it was all about teaching, and again, I was coming as a consumer. So when we started our relationship with Care Credit, I was like, oh, I've used Care Credit. This is an amazing opportunity. for those that come in, if you have good dental genetics, or you have a great relationship with your toothbrush, then you have a decent relationship with your dentist, right? You don't get a lot of bad news. Then there's the other audience that doesn't have great luck at the dentist, and you already know that as an office manager who's using this patient communication tool, all of a sudden technology is kind of pushed off to the side, and you then have to talk to the patient with empathetically, right? Like, I understand that what you just spent on the dental chair is not optimal. However, this treatment is necessary, and we have some solutions. So I feel like when we train all of our new practices, when they start with Revenue Well, we also try to prepare them for that part of it. Is yes, we are a patient communication tool. Yes, we are a one-stop shop, and it's so funny, everything we've talked about is, obviously you're coming to us because you probably want recall. Make your life simple. Take things off of your plate. We'll turn recall on. Do you want treatment plan acceptance, treatment plan follow-up? Let's turn that on. Then do you want online scheduling? Okay, let's come back to that. So when we train a new office, we always say, this is what you're turning on to help make your life easier. Now let's talk about what happens when you're actually talking to patients about all of this technology that you're presenting to them. And it's when they come to do that checkout that you're able to cushion the fall with a conversation such as care credit. And again, it has to be a delicate balance of, we have this opportunity for you. So I do think that we are making it easier on those front desk receptionists and those office managers to present another solution for, what may be a difficult situation for them. So you always have the human touch, but at the same time, you're able to say, okay, now that you've accepted that, now we're gonna go ahead and use these tools to make your life easier. So, and I think no different than online scheduling, I think at the end of the day is everyone wants to streamline. Everyone wants an easier experience, but it is up to us as a company to kind of handhold that new practice with, yes, you have the tools, it's taking 5 things off of your plate and putting it into one, but you still have to be able to educate your patients on how this is going to make their life easier. That answers your question.
Yeah.
And I'll just add to that a little bit too, because the product that we're kind of talking about today, it's called Batch Quick Screen. And essentially Quick Screen is just a pre-approval. And in a batch format, it's basically taking your schedule and putting it through a pre-approval process. For us, it's great because it gives that confidence in that case presentation, but then it also tells how many people already have care credit. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that we've always talked about, and I love hearing these stories, it's funny when we come to these and they're like, oh yeah, I love care credit, I use it for my dog. And like, we're talking about it to integrate into our DSO here. But that's the great part. If you think about the 13 million people out there that already have care credit, having that knowledge, back in the day I used it, thinking about paper charts, oh my goodness. They would put like stickers on the paper charts of people that had care credit. Now we've come, we're fast forward to 2023, now you open up Revenue Well and you can see patients that already have care credit or that they would be pre-approved. It's really like integrating and making that process so seamless. Yeah. So you've got, the dental team is armed with all of that knowledge so they don't have to go in and log into another portal to go through and do a pre-approval. It's automatically kind of synced into that process.
Sure.
And the part of that is once they're sitting down in front of you, you are not looking at, like you said, like a paper chart or 5 different things to kind of find out where they stand with this financial credit. You're looking at their profile, and underneath their profile, pre-approved, care credit account holder. Mm-hmm. And then it's, it's on a couple different screens, so it's almost like staring you in the face to say, I already know this bit of information, and now I can present it to you.
Yeah. And I was just gonna add, this is like a really important topic of everything we cover, but I think there's the human element to this that's shifting. Is historically we were talking about patient financing tied to the treatment coordinator. And I'm gonna challenge that thought today that is not where it can live and breathe to be the most successful. Because when you leverage technology and you have that batch quick screen or availability to see financing in your huddle, your doctors, remember your providers are the leaders, right? They're the ones that are initiating the treatment for success. When you're in huddle and Sally's coming in for 2 single surface fills, but she also has a crown that she's put off, and I share in morning huddle the opportunity that Sally has $3,000 in available care credit. The 2 dental assistants and the doc, their ears perk up and they go, oh, yeah, we could offer that for her today because we just had a hole happen that follows that. So again, remember that language of available opportunity to save you time. You're now taking that financing element and instead of doing it at the back end of treatment acceptance, which oftentimes if you hear why your treatment acceptance is low, human element, they're too busy, right? They're overtaxed, answering phones, checking someone else out. I didn't get the chance to talk to her or it's scheduled yet. The challenge is, even both with same day and also just accessibility, that even your RDAs are mentioning chair-side accessibility to financing.
Sure. Yeah. Cassie, with your time working, fractionally with DSOs and implementing
Sure.
both of these solutions, what other, experiences did you have when sitting down, next to the patients? And, we talked a little bit this morning about assumptions.
You hadn't had your coffee yet, I apologize for that. I was like on a rampage of coffee.
It's all good.
A little bit.
6 shots of espresso
Yeah,
right
I'm
here.
super sorry, yeah, had it in my character.
I'll be ready.
Yeah.
I'll be ready.
Yeah, no, I think that some of the aha moments, especially with integration of both of the tools, incredible women up here that if you haven't met them, you should because they're just a wealth of knowledge. But it wasn't the aha moments with the DSO directors of ops. It really was the grassroots effort. It integrated Revenue Well specifically with 37 locations. And the aha moments came at the practice level with the providers. And whether it's Revenue Well or any patient communication tool you utilize, I would just challenge the idea that if you start to engage even your doctors, like we're talking about treatment follow-up, docs, if you have a passion for crowns and that you're seeing a deficit in crown placement, first let's look at, are there deficits happening in your schedule of non-production because you need to fix your curing light and you're doing redos all day, or whatever it is, right? But then initiating the effort to say, what's that CDT code that's your sweet spot? You can drill down in Revenue Well and select out the unscheduled version of that, and then message your patients. But then it gets better, right? You can actually include the link for them to schedule that treatment online. So now the conversation isn't, we're gonna touch your schedule and mess with it and you should do online scheduling because it's best for the patient. You speak it to the provider first so that the provider knows this is about acceptance of the visit and accessibility to schedule. So now as a director of operations, I'm not trying to shove it down their throat to use it. The doctor is actually the initiator to say, hey, my crown placements have fallen off, like I'm not doing as many crown preps right now. Let's go ahead and run a campaign and see who gets scheduled. Let them do it once. And when the doctor receives 4 scheduled visits from online scheduling being turned on for the treatment plan follow-up, guess who's your advocate for change? So I think that's where that, the shift culturally happens, and acceptance of things like online scheduling is everywhere but dental. And I think it's because we've taken the wrong avenue to get there. And I often say, that in your practices, there's likely, for DSOs, there's likely a dartboard with the director of ops and CEO's head on it, because, and it's just being very candid with you, something top down has been initiated, and like, hey, we're gonna do this. And they've missed the piece in that of the CEO and C-suite level finding the channel with the provider to share the value first, to generate more production for them so that they accept what follows.
And again, I think it's education because I think every time online scheduling comes up, I told my company I want to do a market, like a slogan that says, you still have control.
Yeah.
Because it's education. Every time someone says no to online scheduling, like I can't lose control of my schedule, I go, you still have control. Not only are you now adding this item that all of your consumers, or at least a good majority of your consumers want to see, is you still have control. You still get those requests, you still have to accept them, they still have to fit into the schedule. But I'm like you, I look for those that offer online scheduling just because of ease of mind. Those that have electronic forms, those that have online scheduling, those that have, the treatment plan follow-up, all of those email and those text communications. Because as, a busy mom, like I don't have time to kind of go in and all of you have seen the memes about your school emails and how you need to hire someone just as read through all the school emails. I don't have time to go through all of my dental for all of my family. So when an office, as a consumer, when an office offers that to me, but then on the other side of it, I'm telling all of our practices, you have control.
Yeah.
You have control.
And I think something Cassie brought up that resonates a little bit to me too is understanding the why down to the provider level, right? What's important to one doctor necessarily isn't always important to every doctor.
That's right.
Right? And I think that there's a tremendous value of meeting them really where they want to be met.
That's right.
And when we think of integrating technology, we think of integrating patient financing, things like that. It's more important that we share with them, like, are we meeting their needs and what their goals are? We can go to one provider and maybe it's ortho, another wants, to branch out and do implants. But I think when you tie in, the technology solves and meets the need of, where they want to grow, and really where they want to success, and get more, clinically. I think that helps to tie in the why.
Yeah, good. Love this conversation. This is awesome. How many of you have humans working in your office? Say, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. Because again, the human element is key. And I just saw this on LinkedIn that the average attention span for adults dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So if we count to 8, you're gonna forget what I just said.
Thank you, TikTok.
Anyway, so I want to bring this conversation to Courtney around text reminders and and follow up regarding scheduling, financing, and things, because hey, people have a short attention span, and it's the human element, but we're leveraging technology. So with the use of those, how do you ensure the balance between automation and the personal touch? Like, how do you bring that to the next level?
You do have to find a happy medium, obviously. I mean, it's not one of those, you can't completely convert, to an all online, AI mindset. Then you kind of lose that personal touch of the company. So again, when we bring on a new practice, we do a little bit of hand-holding. We train them. We talk about, what's important to them as a practice. We talk to them about their patients, about their clientele. So you have what's like an hour-long onboarding just about, this is what we can offer, this is what we think is best practice, this is what we think should automatically be enabled, like care credit integration, because it doesn't cost any extra. I'll do that little plug because I'm such a big advocate of it. So, but when we talk to them, we're like, what is the majority of your patients? And some will be like, we have a huge dynamic. We have, we do pediatrics, we have 18-year-olds, then we have, a big audience, 60s and 70s that don't want the text message reminders, right? So we always say, if you could group them, what's the happy medium with, do you still need to send postcards to some? Do you want text reminders turned on for others? And the beautiful thing is, if you opt everyone in what is now a tech-savvy world, they can always opt out. So you're giving them the choice. We also encourage them to add a personal touch, whether it's a certain type of emoji, whether it's, the way if you live in the South, is it, howdy, you have a dental. Use your own voice and how you want to represent your dental practice in your communication to your patients. We have a dental practice out of Raleigh where their birthday, their happy birthday message is the dental office putting a pie in the dentist's face. It's like, enjoy your pie for the day. And that's what you get on your birthday when you wake up that morning from that dentist. So we say add the personal touch. That way, even though all of the electronics and technology makes sense, make everyone's life easier, you're not losing that relationship. Because that relationship, we've had patients tell us that, or tell their dental practices that they look forward to that text message and the opportunity to text back and forth. 5 years ago, you would text, you have an appointment tomorrow. And I would, thank goodness my teeth are so dirty. And the office would not get that. We've come so far in 5 years that it's like, well, I'm happy to hear that your teeth are dirty because you've been eating cake, hopefully. We can't wait to clean them for you tomorrow. Again, you can add, that whatever, humor or that personal touch to those communications. So you're not losing it completely, but at the end of the day, you're still making their life so much easier.
And I would say that trust in the automation, but trust in the human element to identify the best fit. So if you want one aspect of automation to be, in my mind, the most successful is confirmations. A lot of the DSOs right now are seeing a high level of failure of no-show visits. It's because they're fully trusting in automation to accomplish confirmations. And so over 3 years, I put together a case study of best practice for confirmation, when to pick up the phone, when it should be automated, and the frequency, because remember, desensitization happens the more frequently we're contacted by somebody. So that's part one, right? Address that piece and add the human element to ensure your visits actually show up. And then the second part of it, really tying into what you are saying, is be sure that you're surveying the success of your patient attrition and what that really looks like over a good span of time. I've implemented some surveys with DSOs, and I'll give one most recent example where they were seeing a huge decline in patient volume. They weren't sure why. They had most recently turned on a recall system, forgetting that over 90% of their patient base was Hispanic, and had not synced with their PMS system the Hispanic component. So every message going out was in English. So clearly they weren't going to convert those patients back into the practice. You may hear that and go, oh, that sounds simple, but I'm here to tell you it's happening all the time, where there's either over contacting of the patient, that desensitization happening, or the message doesn't match the audience. So make sure that you're getting those things combined with the human touch, or you'll get automation and the digital component wrong every time.
Yeah, I think it's, to that point too, it could be turnover.
That's right.
Someone new in the front desk.
That's right.
And Jill, you alluded to it, the SOP, having that in place to make sure that continues, that standard of care and things too. So.
I always say it's the overly aggressive front desk person that ends up becoming almost the bouncer of your practice. And we all know bouncers are great for clubs because they keep out the rowdy ones, but bouncers at a practice level sometimes end up keeping out what needs to happen in the clinic. They're shutting it all down, so.
And I'll just add, and we're talking about text, and I think we talked about it this morning, on text to pay. I mean, what an amazing opportunity. We did this study, obviously, post-COVID, of we went out to our providers and said, okay, how many are using text to pay? So few, right? And we're like, well, what is the preferred method that your patients want? And they're like, well, they prefer text, but we're just not doing it. And we're like, well, wait a minute, like, where is this gap? And I think it's like we have to get out of that, like, assume that if that's what the patient wants, we think of our customer, and if you're, in a DSO C-suite, you've got your provider, but then you also have your end customer as that patient, right? So understanding what the patient expectations are, you could save so much and have more efficiencies. I thought about it during COVID when I had a past due balance of taking the girls to the dentist. And I did get the text to pay before I actually went in. I was like, awesome, then I don't even have to worry about stopping at the counter. It's convenient. And I think of all of the opportunity that's missed if you don't do something like that, and then they just don't even ask for the payment, and then you leave again, and then you have another balance that goes on top of that balance, and that AR just grows.
And you notice when it's not there. So we have Revenue Well with our messenger, our texting our patients. The program is you can insert a bill link, a URL. You can do an online scheduling link. You can do an online forms link. So recently I switched dentists, I went to a new dentist, and I got the bill in the mail, and I'm flipping this bill over, checking my text messages. I was like, how do I pay this thing? Like, do I send it in the mail? It's not that it's a bad concept, it does work for a lot, but I was already looking, because of my mindset of what our company does and what I hear from our customers, I was already looking for that. I was like, how do I pay this? Like, I guess I just stop at the dentist's office. But you automatically, it's almost like now we've been conditioned to look for that ease of use now that it's been invited.
And I think beyond that is the financing piece, which I love that you didn't even plug Care Credit in it, but my mind immediately went to it, which whatever financing tool you use, at the end of the visit, if they don't schedule and you're doing follow-up via email or text, please put in your financing option into those spaces because they may not even know you offer it. The number one thing I heard when I implemented that with a DSO was the feedback was, I didn't even know you could use care credit in dental. Guys, so it's the point, not just the point of sale or the pre-sale, it's even post-visit, and I call it, it's the perfecting of the landing. You're saying what you offer, even if they've left the practice already, because there's an awareness and a click of, oh, I had no idea I could use that to schedule this treatment. So it's allowing them to schedule.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's, it change management, right?
That's right.
Changing the behavior.
Correct.
And, would it be, would it be confronting the assumption that this person may not need, or may not be able to afford all the treatments,
Yeah.
or the finances, or, what's that aspect? How do you overcome that from a team that's maybe combative or, hesitant to move forward in that?
Yeah, I think it's accessibility to tools for success, right? When your team knows they're backed up with what goes out through automation that reinforces what they do, it builds them up with confidence. When you implement a QR code for the patient to pay their bill chairside, and it's actually on the route slip, and the patient, some of them are still using route slips or a digital route slip, and they're pulling over the iPad, patient scans the QR code, or we're doing direct send with the link to pay right there chairside. It just sets everybody up for more success. And I think with your change management statement, especially with technology and what's happening right now, there's one thing you could do in 2024 is to evaluate the capacity of your teams and what they're doing physically, because for whatever reason, dental's the one area where we haven't created any new job titles or job descriptions. I find that incredibly weird. Like everywhere else in the world, we have new job titles, and what did we have yesterday? Like director of, I don't know, something crazy was said on stage, and I was like, where did that come from? I love this.
Yeah.
And I think that dental is so slow to progress that why do we hire just a registered dental assistant or just a treatment coordinator? We should be hiring people that facilitate the full continuum of care, pay them a little more, right? Because they're able to do the job of a multitude of people. They're more confident. By the way, the people that are, able to pay their bills are usually going to be a more confident employee. But hire a skill set with a modified job description to do multiple tasks. And I've even found RDAs that love to take on that bill component at the end because they can close the visit out, no hassle of checkout, no interaction with anybody else, and it just starts to streamline efficiencies.
That's good. Question for the group, and it doesn't matter who wants to jump in at first, but one, how are we doing? We doing good this morning?
Yeah.
Come on now. Who's got something? Who wrote down something? One person. Awesome. There we go. There's a good takeaway. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I love revenue well.
This guy had too much espresso. I knew that's what you wrote down. How do you foresee, to the group, how do you guys foresee the future of patient financing regarding the advancement in technology and human engagement?
Should I start?
Yeah, go.
Come on. Who's excited?
I have 3 words. I think we'll sum it all up. I'm going to have you start.
Okay. So what I get most excited about is that I think the patient financing in general has changed. I think we look at it very different because it's become more of that kind of need and convenience. And I think when you look at fast forward, and I love to think of 5 years from now, thinking of that patient journey and the experience and the technology, and it all being integrated and very seamless. I think when you put the opportunity into the patient's hands, I think when you automate more, the decision is theirs, and we can't continue to think of things very siloed. I've had conversations recently with C-suites and they're like, why are you even asking me what patient engagement platform? I'm thinking, really? Because it needs to be integrated, right? Like how are we communicating to patients before they even come in about what their options are? We're waiting until they get to your point, until they get to the checkout. And I'm like, oh, I can't afford with this, it'll help me let me think about it. Like, we've got to think of it in a whole ecosystem and a whole journey. We break it down for us, and we're like pre-visit, during visit, and post-visit, and then we're a circle. So we're like, it's the whole ecosystem, because that patient continues to come back. So we think about patients that have, ability to accept care, and then they continue to accept care. They continue to have good oral health, because they don't have that fear of cost the next time that they come in. The story back in my early days of a mom of 3 children that didn't take her children to the dentist because she had a past due balance. And that is like, breaks my heart, that those children are not getting good oral health because she owed money. And it didn't resonate to her because it was never even offered as an option to do third-party financing. But what the great success out of it was that not only was she able to come back, she paid off her bill, came back in, and then she was able to help herself because she put her children in front of herself, and she had not been to the dentist in many years. So you think about like life-changing experiences. I think we have so much opportunity to grow dentistry. I think we have so much more opportunity to have better oral health and more patient satisfaction.
I agree with you. The 3 words that come to mind every time we talk about care credit or like the dental industry is treatment, plan, acceptance. Treatment plan acceptance means 2 things to me. One, it's exactly what the dentists want. It's what a successful dental practice wants, is when they present you with bad news or they present you with a need, then they want you to accept the need. It's going to be better for you in the long run. So treatment plan acceptance. At the same time, there's a human on the other end of that, and such as myself, when I had some bad news in the dental chair and I saw the bill, I was like, who can afford this? Like, I don't have this extra $10,000 laying around because I chose a bad Skittle. Like, I didn't plan for this, because you don't plan for dental emergencies. When they said to me, there is this option, care credit, I realized now working for Revenue Well that not only am I making the dental practice happy and more successful by increasing treatment plan acceptance because you're offering this solution for so many who see it as a closed door, but on the other end, you have the human element where now they can get the treatment they need, they can get it when they need it, which is extremely important, and they're going to keep coming back knowing that that solution is there.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, you said 3 words, mine is 3 letters, and it's RCM to tag team to that. And I would just challenge right now that we have a lot of surprise billing happening, so there's a lack of offering for financing because even the practice doesn't really know what the patient portion is as they're getting ready to leave, and then they're like, oh, we finally verified it, and by the way, those 4 extra PAs that you took today are going to be out of pocket. And so I think the solution that we're going to see a lot of in 2024 is this AI integrated effort and right back into the software to give us the facts before that patient comes in the door, to be confident and know this is patient portion and out of pocket. Because it's going to be more, we need to be prepared to make an offer of something. And again, going back to the surveys, I would really engage with your doctors on this to talk about their confidence level with what's happening with RCM currently, because likely many of your doctors, whether it's right or not, right, because we know that in the end it's not right, they are making decisions about the treatment plan presentation based on what they think the patient's insurance will cover. I was just in a practice last week and heard it. So I've got this option, which is like the Cadillac option, or we can do this, which is a 5-surface fill, but I noticed insurance won't cover this because of frequency and that tooth has been repaired before. And I just looked at the doctor and I said, but what's best for the patient? Because if you do the 5-surface fill and it comes out in a month, who are they mad at? The filling? No, they're mad at you. They think you're a crappy dentist. So what you've got to do is you've got to go backwards, fix that integrated effort of the RCM first, which, by the way, solves the payables for your doctor, and they're a whole hell of a lot happier when they get paid on time. So if you fix it on the front end, the treatment plan acceptance, they feel backed and supported because the access to the information is finally accurate. And that when that problem is solved, care credit is offered or a financing option is offered in an accurate way where the patient feels confidence. People don't feel confident in their dentist, not because there are a bunch of crappy dentists out there, which there are, but because somewhere along the line, they distrusted somebody that gave them information, and then they got a bill in the mail that was $500 more than what they told they were gonna pay, or gonna have to pay. So I think there's an origin of that needs to be fixed. Yes?
So you went to, and I'm dropping a bomb at the end.
Yeah.
There's the 300-pound gorilla in the corner. Dental insurance is not gonna change. It's not really insurance.
That's right.
We all know this.
Yeah,
So let's use this world
that's right.
to shortcut this bad experience on the back end.
Yeah.
Dental insurance hasn't changed in what, 30 years?
Yeah.
I mean,
The only thing that's changing with it is they're trying to find ways to not pay them.
100%.
So, you know, like, so how can we get out of paying them? Yeah, correct.
I just think that can be an element of this whole
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Just a different viewpoint, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just to sum it up, changing the behavior, you know, at the grassroots,
Yeah,
changing the patient's perspective.
Yeah.
But understanding, providing options
yeah,
to pay with financing, you know, and communication
yeah,
is key. And leveraging all of the technology while also understanding the human element. Have those questions, ask the patient, right? Making sure that, hey, empower the patient to make that choice. And that thing. Any last thoughts? We have 10 seconds.
yeah. Any disgruntled patients that are out there, or team members that are out there, you've likely given them the drill without the drill bits. And so they're frustrated with their job. There's team satisfaction issues, so I would say that's a huge piece of this. And, you know, satisfaction to have automation and things of that nature are part of giving them the tools in their toolkit to be successful.
Teaching them how to use those
That's right,
tools.
correct, yep.
And I would just say, I mean, we've got to start thinking of the entire patient journey. We've got to expand outside of,
Yeah.
it's not just the treatment coordinator's responsibility when it comes to financing.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a whole team effort, and it has to go, you know, way earlier on in the patient journey.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much, Shirley, Courtney, Cassie. Wonderful conversation.